And the Andronicus transmissions on Wolf Spirit Radio, Ever Beyond Radio, and Studio 9 Jam on YouTube. With your host, Jessica Ariel Morocco, featuring JP as the voice of Andronicus. Please visit www.readingsbyrael.com, that's ARAEL.
We came from the future, by way of the past. I bought my ticket for the 15th century. We started moving through a hole in history.
You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us at Answers from the Universe and the Andronicus transmissions. So we have a whole group of messages today. There's probably about 5 of them. And of course we always have, an occasional new one, or it may be just, particularly from a group. The Agarthans on occasion have different representatives. And so we have a new one by the name of Danya. And in the past we've had, Thor has contacted us from the Agarthan nation or community. I don't know how they refer themselves. And there's a lot going on. Of course, and we have some of the typical ones, and a nice message from Andronicus as well as from Rhodan has some really important information to share with us. And we are continuing to hear from Meetis and Tektatron, who keeps showing up. And probably will until he's finished doing whatever he needs to do. So, JP, you created a few jingles. You created some music with companies, so just to make it a little easier, and we have kind of a melody associated with the character.
That's right. Well, it's like you said last week, we really ought to get a cheat sheet together because it's getting there's too much to remember, So today, about half an hour ago, as usual, I started, maybe I need a jingle for this and the jingle for that. So you'll hear them in a while. You hear, I've got a new one for Borkham. You've heard the Tektatron one. And I've got a new one for Meetis as well. So that should be quite fun.
Yeah. Meetis has always got something going on. And, I just wanted to remind everyone, go ahead.
One other thing. From our chat room, Red Pill 24 says, please tell Jessica I love her show.
Thank you very much.
So,
I get it.
I also want to check out the volume levels. Could you give me I know we do this all the time, but I'm really trying to nail it down this week. So, can you give me a count? 3 something?
3, 2, 1.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, I think we're basically, I think basically we're about the same, volume level, so that's good.
Perfect.
Goody, good.
I also, I received a message from someone from Ireland. I haven't gotten back to him yet, but I will be in Ireland on August 7th, 2016, as long as everything goes well. And people are invited, as it's only a select few that are invited to come, and join us on our trip to, some of the sacred places of Ireland. Now, if you are from the area and you want to come by and say hello, I think that's wonderful. Really, I'd love to meet everybody. But even more so, if you want to join us, it's going to be an amazing trip. And, I believe that the universe just doesn't allow, we could get probably, lots and lots of people to come, but it's not meant for everybody. It's meant for those that are very serious on their spiritual journey. And if you're there, we know that you're there for a purpose. And so it's something that I recommend that you get in contact with me over. You can go to my website at www.readingsbyariel.com. You can find the information on Wolf Spirit Radio. You can contact me at jessica@readingsbyariel, that's ARAEL.com. And also, if anyone is interested in helping us with transcribing the information from all of these transmissions so we can put it into a book form and people can read it at their leisure and kind of dissect it. I have people like Viking who contact me and say, I'd like to really go over this part. There's so much that's been said here. So, we would like to try doing that maybe as well. So if anyone, wants to offer and has any suggestions for anything. And also, I highly recommend that you donate and give to Wolf Spirit Radio for allowing us to have this type of programming. I'm very grateful for it, and I hope that you're grateful as well that you have access to some really, really unique information that isn't accessible anywhere else. So, thank you very much, and without further ado, we can start getting into the show.
Okay, so who's coming first? And by the way, are you doing Danya? Is Danya a female or a male?
Danya is a female, and I'm going to take a shot at it, and I'm going to try to just do my best. So please bear with me. I don't have the talent that you have, JP. I just,
I know, no, but just relax and see if you can just, if you can match their cadence. That's the very, so for instance, one might talk fast, one might talk slowly, one might have gaps in their speech, like Obama, So, that's one way that you can characterize them quite easily without, doing voices, so that's one that you can, try slipping into slowing it down or speeding it up. Okay. There was one that you did, which did work, and she had a very fey voice, and her tone was going up and down, her pitch was going up and down, like singing a song, and that really brings their energy across. That really does. That's great. Mm-hmm. So don't be ashamed. Just take a deep breath and let it happen. That's what I did. This is what you put me through. So, where should we start today?
I think we're supposed to start with Andronicus.
Okay, so, traditional Andronicus standard intro.
Since this is his show.
Yeah. It's the Andronicus show. Excuse me. I can finally speak to you. I know that my mind has not been clear and concise in my interaction with you. Very often I have some other distraction because I don't know what to say. You are troubled by what's happening on your planet. I wonder if you're ever troubled over me. I have travelled far and wide. My journeys have brought me to the farthest reaches of the universe. I say little about what I have encountered. It saddens me that you hardly imagine that I need anything other than to be a listening ear. I was hoping to gain more. I'm aware you perceive me in a way that matches your belief of me, being an irresponsible drifter. I closed the door to so many things over time, but you hardly notice. We talk, but you don't search for me. Could it be that our connection is over?
I don't know. You originally came to me in despair while you were imprisoned by the Vinkala. What more can I say? I was the one who could hear you, and I'm glad I heard you and helped you to become free from that circumstance. Look around and see how many others are hearing about you and all the other encounters you've had. Many care about whether or not you are safe and what type of decisions you make and even what your next journey is.
Sometimes it's very lonely being a journeyman. Sometimes my eyes well up from fear. I have all the same emotions as humans have, but my challenges are different. Do you think that all the problems go away when you have the ability to travel through space and time? Do you think that being other dimensional allows you to take whatever you want and get away with it? There are watchers. There's always someone who can see. For example, you can see me right now as I touch the dark green ferns in this newly formed planet. I know you're wondering what I'm doing here and where I am at. It is a magnificently lonely place. I thought if I created a paradise, it would suffice my desire. This planet holds all my favored plant species that grow harmoniously together. It is as a visual dream that one awakens from and is in awe over. Would you like to visit here?
Yes, of course. It's so green. There's so many shades of green. I don't see any flowers or other plants of varying tones. It's just this beautiful, deep, rich green color.
I like the color green. It is my favorite color and appears wonderfully as a backdrop for skin tone and garments or multicolored beings or habitations. I could introduce vibrant colored birds or other creatures of expression. What do you think?
Sounds like a wonderful idea. I see the ferns more than anything.
Do you still care about me?
Yes. I hope you're safe and get to where you need to be. I hope you find peace and comfort and love.
Do you desire to come here and live?
It looks like an Eden.
What is an Eden? A paradise?
Yes, and more. It's like a place of innocence where humanity was conceived.
Humanity was conceived in the minds of the deities. They carefully considered all the aspects needed to help them to infinitely grow. It was well considered in so many ways and from so many perspectives. Humanity is a unique blend of many species, not just one. All care for you and all see your aspects of divinity. Mankind is a lovely combination of hope and breath for a brighter species to care for the upcoming solar changes of our future. Don't be nervous of the future. You are all eternal. It's a truth. Make the changes that you can to allow the transition to occur with fewer restrictions. Keep everything flowing as it should and maintain the earth as you should, but don't worry.
Why am I seeing myself there with you, as a brunette?
Because this is my natural form and how you looked when I met you.
We met in this lifetime?
Yes. I didn't have the courage to tell you who I was. I wanted to hide my identity and told you that by putting on the black glasses. I made you feel sorry for me, but to my own selfishness I neglected to see your difficult life and pain as well.
You know, you hurt me then. I was confused about your behavior.
You thought I was taking... You thought I was taking drugs. We were merely different. You asked me if I was French by the way I spoke. I asked you if you were French as well on other occasions. I thought you would catch that.
You were here, and then are gone? You travel through time so seamlessly, and yet you don't let me know until it's past? Why do you do this?
I know the future. This changes everything. I would be better off not knowing the future than I would enjoy the moment, live life to the fullest. Instead, I peer into the outcome of the future and it affects my reaction. I get angry and frustrated. I judge according to decisions made without me being there. I know this isn't fair, but I do it anyway.
What happens to our planet then? Is it in turmoil? Is it destruction? Peace? What happens? Is that the new Earth you're creating from all the plants you've collected over time?
You ask too many questions that I'm unable to answer right now. If I told you the outcome, you couldn't change it. You would dwell on it and manifest this exact outcome. You know and understand how this works.
Are you saying we don't have a distinct future? That nothing is set in stone?
The future of all humanity is already written, yet we have allowed for changes according to the will of humanity. It is surprising to us what you all choose. It's neither good nor bad, it's just surprising to us. It has a lot to do with the universal subconscious that allows humans to decide what they would like to learn as a group. We thought at this level humankind would be taking on the role of mastery over the elements, the oceans, the volcanoes, the wind tunnels. Maybe on some level. Instead, humans have taken on the lesson of understanding themselves by observing behaviors, the many challenges of the mind, etc. You've done this to such a degree that you have neglected some obvious challenges that were written in your future, such as the runaway weather patterns and other foreboding natural events. This is the imbalance we did anticipate. As a result of the unanticipated reaction, we are wondering if we must intercede somehow in some way. Thus, observe the tear in the timeline. An improper solution, but a way for others more cognizant of the issue to step in and make corrections. Unfortunately, like every hero, things come at a price or cost. They would like to rule the planet in exchange for their mighty rescue of all humanity. Do you see the dilemma at hand?
Yes, I do, and I have another solution. We don't want to be ruled by a mass dictator. Is that the reason why everyone is here? All different species on the planet? Because they have the opportunity to control the world?
Yep, that's the reason.
Do we have another option or a plan B? Could we default back to our earlier timeline, where we begin to manage and maintain the planet better?
I do. You must wait to find out. It has to do with the will of humanity. There must be a mighty wind of change in consciousness and opening up of the hearts of mankind so that they can once again tune into the frequency of the ancients and rebuild and strive as they were intended to do. Listen, we are together again. Not as you imagine in your reality, but in another paradigm. I'm with you, and you are with me, and we are all together. Your people have meshed with mine. It is a wonderful blending of likeness and hope.
I know if we end here, many will be frustrated by this message. Tell me further, any other pieces of knowledge that we can glean from?
Listen to all the messengers. They each hold an aspect of truth that collectively will solve your problems. Don't have care or worry, all will be well. Be diligent to think through the perspectives and allow the pieces to come together. We must go now, you and I. Farewell, my other. Andronicus. Aww. There's a bit poignant in there.
Yes, there was.
Bits and pieces of poignancies. You and your boyfriend, I don't know.
Oh gosh. I don't see
or your admirers.
Admirers. It's more of it's a connecting point, you know. Obviously, no one's here physically, but I do wonder if they step in every now and then. Like in this story that he told me.
Yeah,
I remember that story.
Did you remember a guy who only wore glasses? You know?
He put on the glasses. It was something that, you know, he came in, he was very intense, started telling me all sorts of stories about his difficult life and how he was always traveling. Said he was from Israel, but he sounded French, so he confused, right there, something wasn't right. And then he, I dated him for not very long, and then, one day I went to see him and he had his sunglasses on, looked at me and didn't say anything. And acted like he didn't know me. It was very, very strange.
Walk in.
Yep.
He walked in and walked out.
Yep.
Wow. These guys have been messing around. Anyway, as I said.
So it messes with your head. You're like, well, What just happened there?
Wow.
Right?
Mm.
So, I don't know, do you quantify that as a relationship? I mean, it's a visitation maybe, but in a very odd way.
Well, he said things like enjoy the moments. And I think that really, the overall thrust is, there is gonna be some shit. Shit is going to hit the fan.
Yes.
It's just how you care about it. Like, for some reason, if we don't care so much about it, we'll be able to get through it. It's like there's a level of care that we can give to things, and there's a level of care that we say, I can't do anything about this right now, so I'm going to let that go. And I think it's like, what is important? If there's a great big tidal wave coming to the town, do you worry about your bank account? No, you worry about whether you got a boat.
Right. Yeah. If there's going to be a flood, you have to put out the sandbags, and you have to kind of hunker down and get everything set up. And he's saying that we're neglecting the planet because we're so wrapped into our heads. And they weren't planning that we would be at this phase at this time in our experience. I mean, maybe that was something that we were supposed to be just, it's more of the obvious, if you have a farm, that you have to go out and plant and you have to do certain things, and it's very, an obvious process as opposed to, let's sit around and just have long discussions, but not necessarily accomplish anything other than, maybe kind of glean some insight as to who that person is. So, I think they were just anticipating that that's fine, and it just wasn't, the way that they thought the direction we would go into, to the point where we were neglecting some of the obvious things. It's like the person that gets into deep thought and then forgets to mow the lawn and go shopping for food and work each day, take care of their regular duties. And so in some ways, I guess that's where we're at.
Growing the beard and cutting the nails, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And not cutting the nails. So, again, Red Pill's got a very valid point. How can we change the future when our minds have been hijacked? And really, this is one of the reasons that we have Wolf Spirit Radio. Really, that's how we can get to that point, because we need to get to the point of being in the center, and this is the message that is coming through every day from all of the guests.
Mm-hmm.
Calm the heck down. There's Peter, he's saying, okay, drink the tea, the cinnamon with the tea. There's Andronicus saying, don't worry, because here's the thing, that worrying itself is a negative act. Because number one, if you're worrying, it means you don't trust, because worrying is like a survival mode thing. And we need to get out of the survival mode. That's the whole thing. It's the opposite of survival mode. We need to know that we are going to survive. He said, we're eternal. We are eternal. We always live forever. So we will always survive. And it's learning to override that kind of low frequency consciousness of, I'm going to die all the time, into a place of, I always have been, I always will be, here I am.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing.
And right, I mean, there's the afterlife so, but the reason why he didn't want to give me a distinct future, he said that we would lock into it. We would take that as the only one and only reality, and then we would have that expectation further fueling the manifestation of it. And so he's saying, use your mass consciousness to create a better outcome. And put your energy into that. Put your energy maybe into the natural earth. And trying to calm down weather patterns and other things. And also not to be feeling like we're victimized by these other control systems, that we can be unaffected and watch it drop off of you. So if they're using any type of mind control scalar energy, just help tell yourself that you're rising up above that frequency and that it's not going to affect you and that you're shielded by it. So constantly shielding and protecting yourself and also creating a shield to all innocent partakers and participants of the planet, and those that are causing harm, that they're going to have the energy return back to them so that they will be neutralized from affecting us. So always take back your own personal power. Remember, this is our birthright to be here. The others are intruders. Those they're trying to bring in this forceful entry and trying to bring a world domination. They don't have the right to do that. Now, if we are not caring for the planet and they come in and they have to rescue us, essentially that's what he said, then they may have the right to take world dominance. So the whole process of how we got here was we relinquished our own personal power. We kept on telling the governments, we need help. We need you to think for us. We kept on telling corporations, we can't make a living on our own. We need to work for you. We need to be subservient to some major corporation somewhere. So I'm not cutting down. Some people just will be very happy to work for a corporation, but it might not be for everyone. It might be good for others to work together in collaborative groups and companies that complement each other and bring in resources that are necessary and useful for people rather than trying to manipulate them into buying things that are not helpful towards anyone, particularly targeting children and other innocent parties that, or just trying to sell and manipulate people into buying products that they don't need. I mean, we have to get more sensible about things. And we can do that. We're not so mind controlled that we can't do that. Everyone knows this. I can talk to anyone on the street. And I can talk to anyone around the world. And if you get down to it, we all have the same needs, the same necessities that are required. And beyond that, we don't need anything. So, returning back to basics. And returning back to love and being in alignment with the universal consciousness will help us to make these decisions. Don't worry about the other power. The powers that are they're trying to manipulate us and create fear, and fear separates us from the universe. So we eliminate that fear and be as one in alignment with Source. No one can separate that. Only we can. We are the only ones that can do that to ourselves. So as long as you hold on to that, everything else will fall off. It's because we've given it power. We showed that it was power through fear. And it's not that we're not going to acknowledge it. We need to acknowledge and point out that these things exist. But do we say we are subservient to it? No, we are not. And that we're going to take back our lives and take back our birthright because we were given this planet to reside on.
Yes, indeed. And so, shall we move to our next communication?
Yes.
Who's next?
Let me ask. Okay, I guess we're going to Danya.
Thought so.
You knew it. I don't even know how. All right.
So, do you want to describe your meeting with Danya as well? I mean, how did she come through? How did she appear to you?
I met this lovely woman up in Canada, and she had a connection with the Agarthans and didn't know that they were Agarthans, and I was connecting with a male and a female from there that she was connected to, and the female continued to talk to me. And so she said she wanted me to write down what she had to say.
Okay. So, I was.
Do we get an entry jingle or
I was
an
just.
something?
We'll just use the standard one, but I thought what I could use. Let's see if I can. I don't know if I can do it. I can't do it live. But basically, my harp jingle, but going backwards, so it's like coming up from underneath.
Okay.
So it'll go up instead of going down. You see what I mean? So I'll just reverse that. But anyway, here it is as it is.
Hello, my name is Danya. I've come here from Agartha. It has been a while since I have communicated above the surface and long time since I have been in contact with humans. I feel touched by your beauty and love. It is much more than I anticipated. You are unusual to us in many ways, but gentle. Our thoughts can now blend with yours. It is a true sense of delight and longing to come near. A long time ago we walked amongst you. You, the human race, looked deep into our eyes with wonderment. You wanted to worship us like we were above you. This made us feel ashamed. We know that we shouldn't take advantage of your innocence and curiosity. It is too easy to convince humans to worship species unlike yourself. There is something in your thoughts that truly longs for the quest of finding your creator that you imagine, might I say, that any other species who displays powers beyond your ability, you assume that they are gods. This is not true by any means. You are in a limited plane of existence and not opened in your abilities until you learn the basic process of reflection, seeing others as yourself. Hold on a second. It is something we do naturally. We would hardly ever use such cruel words and harmful reactions as you do to one another. What you call romance is not based upon honesty. Our love for our partners is based upon truth. We don't hide anything. We do not have this commitment. We don't choose to be with them in what you refer to as intimacy. Our exchange is loving and kind. We look deep into one another's eyes and hear the inner parts of our thoughts. The breath and life of being is exchanged. Our children are created from love, not anger, jealousy, competition, cruelty, or any type of lack. We don't need a lot, and our children live in harmony with the earth. Our needs are simple. We gather food from the planet. We do not consume animals. It is forbidden by our people, not even fish. We are not judging you, but the earth responds better to us. We have learned to grow with the earth, not grow contrary to it. Remember, the plants and the animals are our guests here on the planet, and the powers have given them to you as assistance with health and well-being for humanity. Sometimes they come to visit us and leave you. You may notice that there are extinct animals that were once a pleasant complement to your existence. Many have left you altogether and now reside only with us. You mock the creatures of beauty written about in your myths, like the unicorn and the Pegasus. You sent them away to other planets because you were mistreating them. Even your benevolent dragon that served as your protector has been sent away because of your unkind cruelty to them. We are trying to instill this type of awareness to you. You don't know what more we can do. You speak of the mother's love of the planet. In many ways, we are your mother. It is our love that you feel rising up from the caverns and enveloping you like a warm embrace. Those who spend time in quiet hills and gentle meadows, thick forests, and ocean blue can connect with us more directly. This is more prominent to you. We speak to your birds daily and your animals too. We are here to help you. We love you.
Are you our guardians?
In many ways we are. We are like distant cousins, but we have a different expression from you. Humans can't fully understand our ways and would be found trying to mimic us instead of learning from us. We discovered that it would be easier for us to observe from afar. One day, in your future, we hope to return as your friends, not as your gods or guardians, but just your friends. It will be different, but it is the best way for us to teach you what we need to know, what you need to know, and how to advance into the kingdom. You aren't aware of the kingdom you are currently aligned with, are you? It is not a kingdom of nations and human kings, queens, and rulers. It is so much more expansive into the dimensions of earth. There are kingdoms of wisdom that you have not yet to learn about. We are a part of the educational process of your classroom. You are all in a learning phase of your existence. With more knowledge, you can move forward into the growing stage, developing more of your sensory abilities and utilizing more aspects of your brain cavity.
So what's the reason why we're limited in the use of our brain?
Don't you know why? It is simple. With knowledge comes responsibility, and humans have not chosen to take on the responsibility. See the minuscule plant, the one-celled living being utilizes all their capacities. We use much of our capacity as well. Without wisdom to manage our abilities, your world would become too unmanageable with multiple people imposing their will and misappropriating their gifts to wield their will like a cutting sword. Stray not from the purity of heart and you will find that the magical things can emerge from your thoughts. Focus on using your gifts to assist others only, or for the betterment of your people, humanity as a whole, and all the earth's bounty. I am Danya, your guardian and way shower. Peace, love, and true harmony.
Well. Very nice.
Yep.
Nice energy.
Yeah, she's very light and simple. I mean, she didn't carry the energy that some of the others do, obviously. Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing. It's kind of goes hand in hand with what Andronicus was saying, but from another perspective in a different way. Sometimes I think all the transmissions are kind of getting at the same point.
Yeah.
But from a different perspective that different types of personalities can take in.
Relate to, yeah. Well, it's exactly what he said. Listen to all the messengers. Listen to all the messengers. And so if we can hear all of them, then we're getting all the right angles, all the right perspectives, I think. Very good. So yes, why are people so stupid? Oh, because they're not responsible. All right. We're stupid and irresponsible. That's the one.
I think she was saying that, we have different abilities. So if we learn to like levitate or do other things, what are we going to do with that? Are we going to say that, kind of take advantage of others because we have this other ability?
You can fly over people and steal things from them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That would be, some people would think that, or, like, what do you do with the drone? Yeah. What's the first thing that people do with drones? I go and spy on some naked bather somewhere or something, people, like, what do people do?
Or the person that has this, they're brilliant mathematically and then they go to Las Vegas to see how many millions they can win.
They do that, MIT students.
Of course they do. Yes, of course. And what else could they do?
Your people, your neighbors then.
My neighbors, that's right. No, just don't throw away, right? And that's what they do, right? Mm. How about if they took that knowledge and figured out our financial crisis in the world?
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Don't you think that maybe that's what that gift is for? Yeah. Everything just gets so construed. Or misconstrued, I should say.
Indeed. So, anything more about Daniel? I mean, we've got quite a lot of transmissions, so maybe we should go on to the next. Who's next?
I believe it's Kraton. Wow.
You have opened the borders of the depths today. The water's covered and shielded a lot of injury that needs to balance. I know you have a difficult time during the last few days. This energy is about to leave. They are displaced and hope to find residence upon the planet, but are finding it much more difficult than they imagined. Suma, you are the contact person for many species. This species thought to go around you and not communicate with you because of this. This species thought to go around you and not communicate with you, and because of this they suffered by not finding the accurate location and integration point. They called forth the Foundations to hold you responsible for not being able to settle in. They accused you of interfering. I had to inform them that you were there when they arrived because this is your ancient role. Apparently, they are new at our system and have violated many of the core rules that we have always established. I will be looking into this further. I'm discovering that there was a leak into our timelines where they, not of a starseed but human, decided to come in as if they had proper clearance. I'm seeing a brush, a wave in the system that seems disrupting to our galactic force. They have minimalized the very shield that should protect them. We are calling out to all Foundations, obstruct whatever they are trying to accomplish. We are also noticing another species with them that seem to be of an insectoid species. Upon deeper viewing, I can observe that they intend on overthrowing and ruling humanity. It is my time to stop them. There is a strange green mist around them. I'm going to enclose it so they only can be affected by it. It appears to be an illusion, truth serum, a way to extract information from others. This is in direct violation of our Foundations, particularly that they had intended on bringing this energy into my region. They will be surprised to learn that they made a big mistake allowing me to see their intentions. They wanted to destroy the planet by building deep bunkers in the earth. I see all of what they had done. The Agathans had been somewhat involved, but I will have to put an end to it all. The species will be escorted out to Geb, where they will be imprisoned and interrogated by Rhodan's men. This will not be a pleasant experience. They will be bringing out Meetis to assist, since we see he has interacted with them before. He doesn't have a choice in this matter. The echo chambers have been pulled out, and we have established cells for individual interaction. This is the most exciting. It is the most exciting interrogation we have had in a very long time. There is more black goo on them and dark energy than any species prior to them.
Can I ask, who's behind the programming of the black goo and dark energy? Is it something that preceded the species where they became contaminated by it?
Yes. I can't tell you the origin of it. It is a rare and unusual incident where these humans who are working with this species went to gain control of this substance only to be subjected to its control matter.
We call it AI, or artificial intelligence. So this concept was old, or is it from the future and then brought in? How does this all work?
You have to discuss it with Rhodan. I don't want to get into it. It is very entangled and involved. What this species did, it brought into your reality.
Well, how do we stop the programming of this dark energy or black goo? Many have had this discussion before, and we're searching deeply for a solution to it.
The candles bring it to a halt.
What candles? Please explain.
It is an ancient programmable species that chose to sacrifice their essence to exist in another form that will allow them to integrate with all manner of species and life forms in the future. At some point, they would then rule or influence all living beings through thoughts and mannerisms. They were highly aggressive, so you can see that their aggression is visible through those who are infected by it.
So this is actually a living organism who has a mass collective intention of universal rulership.
Yes, that is one way to say it. They decided long ago that they did not want to diminish in essence. They wanted to be able to continue to have experiences that opened up other realities for them. They were actually a condemned species. This could have been resolved had they chosen to reconcile their offense of wanting to rule all kingdoms. They worked as a group of ancients, much like the Aldebranians, have a great deal of wisdom but misusing their knowledge to control and manipulate others. They are all the masters of manipulation. Aldebaran sacrificed much to maintain control. Their physical beingness resulted in a group of floating heads, by choice, of course. The other species, I choose not to say their name, lest others would adhere to them out of curiosity. I will refrain from revealing their true identity until they are fully out of harm's way. Care for your borders, your foundations, and your coveted truths and birthrights. This is what will sustain you. Kraton. Dun, 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 dun. So, wow. Yes, interesting. Aldebaran's heads.
Yeah, the floating heads. Well, they got rid of their bodies, but wanted to maintain their cerebral abilities, which was extremely powerful, very, very powerful. But this is another species that was similar to them, where they were, not happy. I mean, we have a group of different species that really didn't take the right path. Aldebaran's one. This other species, the Goblin, the goblins or whatever. Of course, the Vinkala, which is the reptilians. And all of them playing this role. But then we have those that, they're calling them like the subspecies, kind of, not particularly because they were half of a species, but they keep on calling them a subspecies to me. And it's because they've not taken the right road or the wrong road. They're sort of playing with both. So they're portraying themselves as being good, and then they're doing some bad things, and that might be the Arcturians.
I think this is what Alex Collier refers to as regressives, that they're a subspecies because instead of evolving, they de-evolve. And so they look more elemental. They have uglier faces. They have those craggier, more animal-like faces. That's because, the greys and the reptilians, everything evolves through this kind of human form.
Well, my suspicion is that Tektatron is of that group. And, he's an odd one. I don't really know what he is yet. And of course he's not going to tell me anything. And some might say, well, why are you even bringing him forward? Because I really feel he has some information. And I think he's foolish enough to say anything about that. So, I think that's where we're at.
So, where should
I wonder if we should go into a music break.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just see if I can find something that I can put down very quickly. All right, yes, go back to the main player. I had Taylor Brave Ulysses when we
Hey.
There you
Guess
go.
we're back. Yes.
The entire original version of Layla by Derek and the Dominoes. Anyway, those of you on YouTube, you're just going to have to YouTube it and like listen to it another time. But that's what we just had. So there we go. Wow. So where to next? Or do you have any other comments about the previous two?
I think Kraton is becoming more, it's almost like his personality's become a little bit more like Rhodan.
Mm-hmm. So he's taking more responsibility on.
Well, he's taken off a lot of that negative energy, and he's no longer challenging regarding the burden that, that kind of energy looming over us, that we would have to go through those experiences. So he kind of lifted a lot of that for us. But now he's expressing, similar to the others, like, all right, now that I'm over my own personal crisis, I'm going to start looking at actually what's happening and what these other species are doing that's bothering me. That's what kind of like what Rhodan talks about, is this one is doing that one's doing this. And, I kind of have enough of it. And you're going to see in his message, that's what he's experiencing. But typically, Kraton was very intimidating at first. He was like this giant. He was just awaking out of a deep sleep. And the first thing he needed to do is just get rid of all of this really contrasting energy that needed to be released. But so he seems to be normalizing in a way. It's kind of like sensible.
It's like a balancing factor.
Yeah. And so this is what we're looking for. We're looking for all of these powers to come to a point of peacefulness, inner peace, kind of, someone said to me, well, why are you doing this? And I said, what inspired you to do the channeling? And I said, it started off like, I don't really need to make it public. I could just kind of do this and have this communication and talk to them. I said, because essentially it's like they're like a boiling pot, they're upset. There's different things going on. They're communicating. They have to vent. Everyone has to vent in some way or another. There's just been a lot of pressure going on for a very, very long time. And so by me allowing this, writing down what they're saying, allowing this energy to kind of come through and then release, they are allowed to alleviate some of that pressure that they're feeling. They have a feel like, even like Andronicus, like you interpret it as like, oh, this big romantic affair, and like, it's not like I'm dreaming and romanticizing about any of them. It's almost like, does anyone care about me? Does anyone even know what I've done to help others? I mean, the human race asks for so much, but are they aware that when we're helping them? And so I think part of this is writing it down. And so I could have these conversations privately, but when I do it publicly, others can hear what's being said. And what I'm happy to hear is that other people are starting to pick up their personalities and understand them and making reference like, oh, that's something Kraton would say, or that's something that Rhodan would do. Oh, that's definitely like Meetis. Like you sent me that message of, was it Babylon 5? And the character in Babylon 5 reminded you a lot, or was an inspiration to you for, the voice of Meetis.
Yeah, Marcus Cole was the, he's a slightly annoying, English accented character in this largely American series. He's slightly annoying, but he's like tremendously courageous and is a true warrior and all this stuff. And he just goes for it. And for that he's honored and admired, but he's a bit of a pain in the ass, but in a kind of, he's a quixotic, quixotic, like Don Quixote. He's got this kind of, I'll take him on, no matter what it is, I'll just take him on, like a bull terrier. But at the same time, he's got this kind of quality in his voice, like this, you see. And so you can see that's where partly there's like in my subconscious, Meetis is a bit like Marcus Cole, who's got that sort of character. So.
Well, you do see that there's a lot of similarities from the personality. I mean, I don't think Meetis is really afraid of anything. He gets bored more than anything else. But he doesn't seem apprehensive or afraid of anyone, really. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but highly annoying, right? Very annoying.
Highly annoying. Seriously annoying, yeah. So, yes. No, candles. I immediately thought of the two runners and four candles. But, what was the candles reference?
I don't know. He didn't go into it. I thought that was weird. I was like, do I write it down? Do I not write it down? But that's what he said, and just like anything, sometimes it doesn't make any sense, and maybe in time it will make sense. But they do that on purpose. So something really just stands out, and you're like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah, the candles. What does the candles mean?
I mean, the candles could be light beings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they could be a people, the candles, like a people who are called the candles, yeah. And of course they'd be light beings and
could also be a device.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard to tell exactly what
like
he
a
meant.
Roman candle.
Yeah.
Like a flare of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, what a candle might be is something that emits light of a particular frequency, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So, light.
Yeah, he was expecting the candles to, let's see exactly what was said there.
He says the candles bring it to a halt. And then you say, what candles? Please explain. And it's like, they're highly aggressive and they're so.
Yeah, it changes the subject.
Yeah, completely goes away from.
They do that to me all the time. All right.
These archetypal principal powers, they
They only tell you what they want you to hear at that moment. But I do think that there is a higher, wisdom that they're considering that this is what we can take in. Now they know that they are all aware that I'm sharing it with the general public. So it's not as if this is a private conversation and they can disclose more information. They're disclosing exactly what they want me to say. But on the other hand, I'm not even sure if they would tell me more unless I really, really press them. Which I haven't. I'm just kind of going with whatever they're giving me. But eventually, everything comes out. All the information comes through. So, is there anything else that you thought about from that?
We are, we seem to be getting out there. It's really good to have everybody along. This is becoming kind of like a live version of the restaurant at the end of the galaxy where all these gods turn up. The great prophet Zarquan.
Did you have something to say?
Yeah. So anyhow.
Yes. And by the way, pass me the butter.
Yeah, that's right. So, where to, who to next?
Well, let's go to Rhodan. And then we'll have Meetis and Tektatron towards the end.
Okay. So, Rhodan, I think he was just a plain.
No, that's Kraton.
Oh, was it? All right. He was.
Rhodan was a thunder.
A thunder. I'm going to have to make Rhodan a very special, his own one. But anyway, here's some Rhodan. Do you remember what I said about the changes on Orion? I can't express the extent of corruption we have unfolded by the many councils. My prime council was up in arms. They were beside themselves in grief, and betrayal was on the lips of many. I had such a mutinous reaction that I desired to leave the kingdom, spread my wings and expand into the universes of consciousness. Expand into the universes as a consciousness. It would change all aspects of reality. I know this is not the benevolent thing to do. I could barely hold my emotions back from self-destruction as opposed to annihilation of many species. My patience is wearing thin. I'm at a rock and a hard place with no other option left but implosion. I scarcely believe I should need to endure such pain as I have been open and truthful to all the recipients of my benevolence. I shall return to my father Shiva for some comfort and advice. I have left the Alpha Centaurians in charge. The Orion sector is now a police state as you understand it until I return. The gateways will be heavily monitored and many are now being sent to Geb. We are no longer sending new prisoners to Saturn. This is becoming too archaic and less effective. The Gobin have been mocking my discipline because I spared them and gave them clemency to return and experience anew. I'm considered weak and faltering. Some have even dared to challenge my age and question my ability to maintain such an expansive reach of rulership. In return, I transformed, made myself as a 30-year-old man, puffed up in strength, sharp in wit, and piercing with my eyes. They were all frozen in their places. Their jaws dropped open as I went on to recite all manner of knowledge, calculations of the entry and exit of multiple realities. Some of them dropped to their knees and wept for forgiveness. That is when I realized that they forgot who I was. I became too familiar to them that they saw me as their peer. I am hardly their peer.
So what is the outcome, Rhodan? Where does this leave us? Is this the reason why the Alpha Centurions have been connecting with me?
They are the only ones I trust now for systems control. I have the black emeralds at my disposal, but choose to keep them at the borders. Humanity will at least be able to assess their problems now. The mutinous ones were creating such chaos on the planet that it was preventing any type of natural order, sensible conversations and logic. It was a swirling cacophony of misery. There will be more entry of Alpha Centaurians to begin the peace process. Tell Dan to not worry about their amphibian traits. It is easily adjusted. They are much more malleable as a species than humans and will adjust to their environments. They have unimaginable power and are here to serve your planet. Be kind and gracious upon interaction with them. They will serve you well. I'm off to spend time with my father. It's been long overdue. I heard you had an encounter with my brother, Khalib. He was not aware that his people were intending to harm you. He has cut them off from the human shield of protection. They will be attacked and rejected by their own. Don't worry. The balance is coming, and I will present your efforts, your personal efforts, Primus, and the rest of humanity. Oh, sorry. Don't worry. The balance is coming, and I will present your efforts, your personal efforts, Primus, and the rest of humanity before my father. Keep your hearts pure and hopeful. We are watching over you. The balance is coming.
Yeah.
Yep. It's got, I mean, things are getting so intense, so extreme these days, aren't they? Like, it's like the rocking started out a bit gentle, and now it's really, really rocking hard,
That's a good way to put it. I know what you're talking about. It's like it started around 2011, 2012, 2013, which some people believe was technically the Mayan calendar end. And then, beyond that, it just has been just a real difficult time for some people. And, we went through some major changes. And it's still going.
Changes is one word.
Yeah.
Other people have used other words
Yes.
after word major. Yeah. Oh well, at least it's going to keep changing, so it's not always going to be the same all the time. So, there's one, there's always this thing of like, I think that, when you're a child, this is what is the problem that we experience with trauma, is that eventually we feel that this is always going to be the way things are, and we kind of give up. This is it, and we compromise and we crack and break and all that stuff, because we have a sense that it's always going to be like this. It's never going to stop. It's always going to be like this forever. And that's never true, ever, is it? So,
no.
And we have to train ourselves to keep remembering this too will pass. All things must pass. So, there you go.
Yeah. So they're using, Geb as the new prison.
New Australia.
Yeah. Australia. As opposed to Saturn. Where, I think they used Saturn for the Goban, and that was the earlier prison, but I think they're now using Geb. And I think they're using, it's an inner planet prison as opposed to, an object that locks onto the existing on the exterior part of Saturn. But the Goban were mocking him for he forgave them and gave them chances, and so they saw that as a point of weakness.
The Ferengi. That's the Ferengi, isn't it? Little bastard. Yeah. Little buggers.
Yep.
Little buggers. So, shall we move on to the next, our next feature?
Oh. Let's see. Meetis or Tektatron?
I think we should do Tektatron first.
Okay. Yeah. You have the voice?
I got the voice. Hang on. Let me turn on the plastic megaphone.
Yeah. That's so echoey. Yeah, that's it.
Hang on. He is a bit retarded.
Unless he comes and haunts me somewhere. Jeez. We could laugh about it. Meanwhile, I'll be waking up in the middle of the night and I'm like, oh my God, what is he threatening me now or something?
I know, but he's like, maybe if you met him, he'll be like about 3 inches tall. And, I get you with my beam, and like the beam doesn't even make your skin
more like
warm.
A giant. I think he's more like a giant, to be honest with you.
Yeah, remember the Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
Yeah, remember you can be
Don't
a bigger
look
giant.
behind the curtain.
Yeah, you can be a bigger giant. Right. Okay. All right. They didn't hear me now. They'll be able to hear me now. All right. So I was just testing the microphone sound. So we'll be now I have a special Tektatron jingle, and then we'll go into Tektatron. So there we go.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun. All the mice in the right place. Right. Here we go.
Hello, my arch enemy. So, we meet again.
Yes, here we are having another conversation, and that will probably go nowhere.
Why don't you respect me? I am admired from both near and far. Everyone sees me as a beautiful creature with long blonde locks and a mighty arm to wield my sword or shift my carriage at a whim. You, what do you have to offer?
Why is everything about competition? you are still trapped without knowing your outcome. As usual, you were purposeless.
That is not true. Look closer. Adrian assisted me, and I am on the upper end of good fortune. Behold, your master Borkham resides with me, and has loosed me from the mighty grip of Rhodan.
Suma! I thought he needed a bit of a lift. He was trapped and, we're here to help. Primus, is that you? Why are you always there with Suma? She's on the other side,
Stop conversing with them. They should not be allowed in our field. I am here to teach them what they can and cannot do.
Borkham, what are you doing there helping Tektatron? Do you know that Adrian is Ares?
Yes, of course. How could I not know? He likes to be called Adrian now. You should see the damage he did to the ship. I can't say I don't agree with Adrian. Tektatron is a cheater. I don't think he has played a fair and honest game in his life.
Is he a Borg or some type of robot hybrid?
He's very sensitive about additional parts. No need to mention it. Tektatron, let go of the control panel. We are not headed towards warfare. Manage yourself. You shouldn't antagonize him.
I am wondering if you dare to challenge me now, particularly since I have recruited your own people to side with me.
Hold on. I don't think they're siding with you. I think they were just helping you. Where is your crew?
They are here with me. Why do you ask?
Well, what is your mission? Why are you here in the first place?
I can't say just now. Oh, hello, Adrian.
Who are you talking to?
The one they call Suma, and some other named Primus.
Primus? What is Primus doing with Suma? Sorry, he sounds like Meetis. You didn't tell me that Adrian was going to... What does Adrian sound like? Is he American? What is he? Adrian is Aries, isn't he? All right. So,
that's for Spanish. Make it Spanish or French or
Spanish,
something.
Yeah.
Adrian sounds French, right?
Oh, maybe he's a bit French. Yeah, okay. Adrian, Primus, what is Primus doing with Sumer? Something must be wrong. Let me see what are the calculations. Time, space, etc. What is going on, Tektatron? What have you done?
I'm closing the doors now. You cannot leave. You are all my captives. Goodbye.
Ooh, not a nice man at all.
No.
Well, not a nice cyborg. So he's got bionic. He's bionic. He's got bionic implants.
Yeah.
He's kind of probably a Darth Vader kind of character.
A little bit, yeah. He's something like that. But he doesn't want to reveal who he is, and he's definitely into this whole thing of, being very dominant and alpha, and the whole cheating thing I think is kind of funny. I don't know what that is.
Hang on, I just need to go and deal with my kettle. So, so Adrian, where did he come from?
Adrian's Ares.
He's Ares.
Remember he manipulated Adrian or Ares to think that to forget who he was. So he called himself, he said, your name is now Adrian.
Oh, this is like an altar.
No, because Ares awakened from stasis, and then they kind of got a hold of him and got into his head. All
right. Yeah, reprogrammed him to have a different personality. Give me 10 seconds. I need to go and deal with my boiling kettle. 1 moment.
Okay. So I'll just continue to talk about. So here's Tektatron. Somehow Borkum discovers that Tektatron is in need. Borkum likes to be the hero and show up and rescue people. And I was surprised to find out that he was actually there. And interesting, Borkum seems to show up each time in very odd places, but consistently making a comment about about Primus being around me, which gives me the idea that we were not necessarily very friendly, didn't really talk very much, and so it's confusing them. They don't understand why we're interacting. And so, but, here's Tektatron thinking that now he's leveraged everything because he was kind of got free from the grips of Rhodan and now is off into some kind of mission. So, JP, you there?
Yeah, I'm just getting the guitar.
Yeah.
Hanging around.
What I was saying is that it's really strange how Borkum shows up in very, unusual, unexpected circumstances. And then he's surprised that you and I are around each other or talking to each other, which seems like we weren't typically communicating before in the past. So we were not necessarily friends in the past. So each time, Borkum and others are a little surprised. But, I like the way he sort of whispers to us, like, kind of giving us a little hint about what's going on there. I really don't think Tektatron is someone that is reasonable.
He's not at all. He's completely insane.
Yeah. I mean, that's the robotic aspect of him, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe it's good so people can kind of see that, how difficult they are to communicate with and why, it presents a problem when people create that cyborg type of personality.
He seems to have lost his heart.
Yeah.
Or
like the Tin Man?
Yeah. Oh gosh, are we talking Wizard of Oz?
Wizard of Oz, yeah.
Actually, Nikki sent me yesterday, or the day before, one of these little animations, and it was Han Solo, Princess Leia, God, who's the other one? Chewbacca and C-3PO, right? Mm-hmm. And they're looking around the bushes at Dorothy, the Tin Man, the Cowardly Lion, and the Scarecrow. They're the same archetypes. Mm-hmm. The Tin Man is C-3PO.
Yeah.
Dorothy and Princess Leia. They almost had the same hairstyle as well. So anyway, meanwhile, oh, hang on, let me check this one out. This is for Sean later, but I got this one.
Meanwhile, at stately Wayne Manor.
Oh, no, I didn't have we haven't got Borkum this week, but here's one I made for Borkum. The saber dance. So anyway, I'm getting more sounds here. Anyhow,
you've got Meetis' new sound.
Yes, Meetis' new theme, which we will then bring into this just now. So let's see what and by the way, I haven't looked at any of these. I'm just reading them cold. So whatever happens with Meetis is all, inspired by him herself, the muse,
So you were surprised that I brought in, that Adrian came in?
Yeah. It's like, oh wow.
He didn't have a voice?
Didn't have a voice, and then suddenly he turned out to be like Meetis. Right?
Meetis, he turned into Meetis, and then he turned back to, I think he should have a French voice.
Okay, I will try.
Since we have a French theme, for some reason everything was French. Andronicus was talking about being French, and then, who else? There was something else that was French. No.
The various themes, they come in various places. Anyway, so, shall we, here's the new Meetis theme. Ah, right. See, it's only supposed to be that little bit at the end. That was Meetis anyway. So anyway, I'll have to edit that because that's the wrong one. I've saved the wrong part.
He always has the grand entrance.
Always has a very grand entrance. So anyway. They sent me to Geb. I hated the bone marrow fare that they portrayed to be soup. It is all they ate. What a devastating existence. I don't know how they carry on in laughter and jest with such emptiness in their lives. While I pitied them, I realized it was me who was truly barren. Then it happened. Just as a thief in the night, I was transported out of that reality. I'm not quite sure that this is a typical timeline. I didn't recognize the sign related to entry and exiting the portals. You wouldn't understand these operations as I do. I suppose it was intended to prevent me from leaving. In all actuality, leaving is exactly what I wanted to do. I gave and they took, I took and they gave. There was never an even balance. I have hope and then feel famished. It was an endless cycle of existence. Does it feel familiar to you? There are aspects of this reality that exist in yours now. Well then, I must be on with my story. It all began with an empty bucket. The water tipped out and a frightened cat. Do you remember that story? Remember they called me Frenchie? You were a little blonde-haired boy and they called you Frenchie as well. I saw you jesting and playing with the cat and you made everyone laugh on purpose. They were downtrodden and still grieving by the loss of a child, depressed and oppressed by the fancies, and you fluttered by everyone deliberately acting clumsy. It was exactly what they needed. I love how you gallantly made a fool of yourself to assist their laughter, their much-needed laughter. There might have been many suicides otherwise, might I add.
I remember that story from a regression. The other aspects of the regression seemed surreal and a type of fantasy maybe. I was in France at the time, to my understanding, and I was there to help them get out of their deep unhappiness.
Yes, this is true. This is what we all do. You are much like me, but with a lot less talent. In music, at least. I see you stare at the instruments and they all feel awkward in your hands.
That is very true. None of it feels very right to me. Why is that?
Well, it was our agreement that I would hold the stringed instruments and you would dance. Do you remember this agreement?
No, I don't remember.
Well, playing an instrument requires work, a commitment. You just always wanted to be a butterfly. So there you have it. And stop trying to figure it out. I won't give your talents back to you.
One of these days you'll have to return everything that you took from me. You know that. Meanwhile, tell me about my strange memories of being amongst the fairies. Who was that? In what dimension?
You know I can't reveal this to you. This information protects the Fae, or Phaedrians, as our friend Peter calls them.
That's funny. Are you calling Peter Pan?
In a way, yes, and in a way, no. You will see what I'm talking about soon enough. He is yet to be awakened as well.
No, honestly. Tell me, Meetis, are you Peter Pan? You did look that way when I saw you as a little boy. I know that Zamfir, one of his aspects, is the real Pan, or at least one of his expressions.
It is for you to catch me, to find me out in all that I do. Then you will discover who I truly am. I am a man of many expressions and reveal only one to you and two to Primus. He knows another side of me.
So tell me, are you on Geb now?
Yes, it is not as bad as I thought it would be. I am with a lot of prisoners, those who defaulted on their agreements, and it is my job to keep them happy or entertained. I know most of them. Some of them were partners with me in crime. I've already been serving my time as in your I have already been serving my time as in your human terminology. It is here that I think more about my actions as opposed to whimsically jumping to my desires. It is a bit sobering. I don't know how much more of this I can take.
What will you do next?
I don't know. I will wait until I become the servant to the council. Imagine I once sat on that council. I plan on having a seat there again. There are many who have made my experience difficult. At one time, none of them had rule over me. Now they complain about the most petty of issues. Well, such is the life before me.
Do you have a song for us today? You know how many wait to hear your jingles.
I couldn't be Meetis without a song. It's difficult to say. To summer now and all is pure. I open here the flowering door. My rope of many twisted threads, but the window where nothing ends. I slip through the cracks. I bound through the floor. I am free at last when I awake in prison no more. Sing now, says the sparrow. Float now, says the hawk. Climb higher, says the eagle. Hoot, owl through the dark. You know, I just became free of the Vincala. I felt the controls on me lift. Thank you, Flower. And tell Primus I'm not too bad after all. A kiss to your lovely friends who gather to hear my tall tales and many adventures. Adieu, Meetis. The long one gives me enough time to take the guitar off without sort of clashing and bashing and crashing.
Yes.
So maybe I should leave it long. So anyway,
yep.
there was Meetis. How bizarre.
And we can always count on him to bring in, regardless of what is said and what happens. We know in the end we always have a song for Meetis.
Usually, though, there was one where he was a little too depressed even to do a song, hey?
Yeah.
But
one time.
Yeah, only one.
Everyone has their day.
An off moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, they keep dropping, Primus knows two of my aspects, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see any pictures when he said that?
No.
He didn't show anything. All right. God, I wish I knew what.
We could ask him.
Yeah.
We could ask him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
he's like, he's standing there and he's saying it could be me or me, like in other words, his duality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
and maybe it was related to the time where he met you.
And maybe it's the whole like the female Meetis and the male Meetis.
Yeah, it could be.
Meetis in the middle. Meetis on the.
Does anyone say anything in the chat room?
So what's happening? Paul in Newcastle is saying we need some kind of event to shake and wake the people. Oh yes. Yeah, cause they were talking about the balance time is coming soon and they, Paul says, I would like to know when. Oh, Paul's saying my hands feel like fire. Excellent. That's your Kundalini waking up.
Interesting.
Yeah. Could you hear me playing along?
Oh, someone else was playing while you were doing it?
Yeah. Hey, you should record it and send it to me and we can play it.
Yeah, send it to us. We'll play it.
Yeah. See, songs inspired by Meetis.
Mm-hmm.
That's another album that's coming,
Wow, so, I'm wondering, answer us if you can, were you playing along with the same song or you were created your own or felt inspired by your own song? So who was it? It was Paul, you said?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was, Red Pill.
Red Pill, okay. Yeah, feel send stuff to us and if you have like some kind of unusual synchronicity or something that happened that relates to the story. And, one of the transmissions that had happened kind of like with Aslam, that if you, want to share with us, let us know and we can have you at the beginning of the show and to share a little testimony.
Yeah, that'd be good. And, again, that also, lends itself to the website that we're building when I get around to doing things on it. But, essentially the website that we're building, which is it andronicustransmissions.com? And it's going to have like each episode will have its own environment. So you'll be able to upload your own comments, pictures that you may draw, music that you might make, any commentary maybe. And, also, as I was saying before, transcripts. Mm-hmm. So it'll be a kind of repository for all things Andronicus. And maybe we'll start, maybe we can make some t-shirts. That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Then you can have a Meetis t-shirt,
Yeah.
So, all you artists who are visualizing these things and seeing them, we could make it a kind of collective network.
Absolutely.
Jess.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, you had a guest on your show.
Mm-hmm.
Who read our astrology.
Yes.
Can I play that clip?
Sure.
Because I'd listened to it the other day, and it was kind of wow to me. And I thought, wow, this is very, very interesting. So let me
before you do that, I want to just make a
quick
quick comment. Last night we were on Matt Steele's show, and Andrew Basago was on the show, as well as Alfred Weber. And I think Andrew mentioned something about there was something about a rope or something like that. And I looked at the transmission, there was a mentioning of the rope. That was a fantastic show last night. So if people want to really be informed about what's been going on, definitely listen to that show. I was a co-host. I didn't say a whole lot. They were saying so much. I just wanted to step in the background and let them talk. But a lot of really good stuff came forward. So, but go ahead, JP. Why don't you play that clip?
Okay, so this was when was it? 2014, October 2014. So this is before anything of this started, right? This is before Andronicus started through. So just check this out. Very, very interesting.
Well-known astrologer as well. And so, Elizabeth, why don't you start sharing with us some of the information that you have?
Well, Jay wanted to know what connection the two of you had in past lives.
Okay.
And the answer came. And the answer is that he was your father. And the reason that is true, and it can't be disputed, it's true, is because his Saturn is in Capricorn, and your rising is Capricorn, as well as your Sun and your Venus in Capricorn. Actually, your Venus is at just 0 Aquarius. Thank goodness. Because Capricorn is very hard. Of course, it's ruled by Saturn. So he was your father, and he's here because he owes you a debt of support. That's very interesting. He's here to pay a karmic debt of support.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting?
It is interesting. I mean, we have, it's a natural
affinity.
Conversation. Yeah, a natural affinity. We talk to each other very, very easily.
And I told you, you were asking me questions about whether or not people are in their same pod. This is how you know somebody's from your pod or from the same area, is when you have that comfort. There's never, ever, with anybody from your pod, any kind of stress.
Mm-hmm.
There's never, ever any anger or stress. You just can't get angry at them no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I found that with my children. My first child I would get angry at, but my second child I couldn't get angry at her no matter what.
You know what's interesting, Elizabeth? I lost my father when I was 12.
Well,
he died of cancer. When my mother died when I was 19 years old, she died of cancer. And recently I have been doing readings for people, and I have found at least 2 mothers from other lifetimes. And now, and I've seen other fathers. People that I've been around have told me that they were my father in previous lifetimes. So I think this is interesting. It's like I got a whole bunch of other,
Sure,
relatives.
of other support. Well, this is separation from the father at an early age and difficult with authority throughout your life. That's a Capricorn rising, and I had said the same thing to Jay because he has his Saturn in Capricorn. So that's very, very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So you both have that similarity. And there is something to be gained from the two of you from coming together. Okay? And this is interesting. Listen to this. Are you ready?
Yeah.
He's got his Uranus in Leo in his 10th house. Now, Uranus rules the airwaves, among other things. It also does things very fast and very quick.
Yeah.
That Uranus in Leo conjuncts your Saturn in Leo at the exact same degree.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you that the two of you are going to form some kind of a network between now and next September. It will be crazily welcomed by society, and that you have come together to bring this particular message to the world. It's also squaring your Uranus, Jessica, so you're going to do most of the work.
Mm-hmm.
And both of you have Uranus in the 10th house, and that's airways. That's how you know that you're going to do television and radio.
Yeah.
Radio.
Ooh, I love it. And his Jupiter is at 0 degrees Aquarius, and your Venus is at 0 degrees Aquarius. So he was your husband in a past life.
Okay. Yeah.
As well as the other. And of course, we've each had about 400 past lives. That's the mean, the general mean. I didn't know if you knew that, Jessica. So
No, I wasn't sure whether
there's
Cap
more than
was.
one, but we experience, when we're from the same pod, we experience everything in different forms, like the mother can be the daughter in the next life and the father can be the son in the next life and that type of thing.
Right.
So you were father and daughter, and you also were husband and wife. Now, Jessica, I want to address your moon in Virgo conjuncting your north node in Virgo. This is the second lifetime for you that you're living, for you to learn the things that you could not live in the other learn in your other lifetime. So you're redoing it. And I think you're doing a great job. Let me look at his moon conjuncts Venus. Oh my goodness. That's funny. Because Jay, you said you married late, and the first thing I tell you is, boy, you're a guy that didn't want to get married. You weren't going to follow the rules. You have a moon conjuncting Venus in Aries. Aries is always the one that says, I'm not getting married. There's too many good things out here.
Not the marrying kind, yes.
But then later on, you wanted to settle because it's in the 7th house. Did you marry an Aries lady?
She was Gemini, but she's very Arisian,
She's very
forward.
old. You have to look at her planets, because I'm sure her planets she has planets in Aries. And
so anyway, but we didn't last long. Yeah, that didn't last long at all.
What, the marriage?
No, yes.
It didn't last long?
No.
So you're not married now?
I'm divorced, and I have a girlfriend who's very keen on me, but we're doing a lot of stuff. It'd be interesting to check our charts out, because there's a lot of stuff.
It would be, but nonetheless, this just shows that you're not the marrying kind. That's what you chose in this lifetime.
All right, so I can tell her that my astrology says that I'm not the marrying kind, so just give up the whole, just enjoy me.
You might do a Hugh Hefner when you get in the wheelchair. You'll think about it.
So there you go.
Right.
That was more than 18 months ago, and that was before. I mean, that was like just about 3 or 4 months after Dave had died, and I was just kind of trying to get my balance and getting the station together, and working with you, and just helping, just being the producer, just producing your shows. It was like if Dave hadn't have passed away, we would never have met, really, because I would have kept doing my Sunday slot, and you come on Thursday and that's it. You could have moved on from the station and gone. So that's where we met, and then this lady says these things, like 3 or 4 months later, and then after that we did a regression, and indeed in one of those regressions you were my wife in the parallel dimension.
That's right.
Yeah, as if it wasn't tricky, like challenging regressions. We go back to this, like, not even my own past life. It was like some parallel dimensional past life where I was a time traveler, a time travel researcher. Yeah.
Yeah, scientist.
Yeah. And that's where the whole golden boat of Ra came from. That concept.
Yeah, and you that was an award you achieved.
Yeah.
But then through your whole technology, you end up losing a son in that experience.
Yeah, but through the regression, we get him back and sort other things out. Some those are really quite big timeline things.
But yeah, a lot of things happened. The original format of my show. I mean, my show started on other networks, and then came over here because that other network dissolved. So yeah, if you want to talk about a path that was clearly paved in a way that was unexpected, and you just sort of like, people say, well, something bad happened where, that network is shut down. It doesn't exist. I'm still friends with the person that runs that network. It was the old Illuminati network, and he just sent me something recently called the Seer in the Dark show. That was the original show that I had, my first show. And, so that ended. I went and looked at 2 other networks, and one of them was, Will Spirit. And so I was working with Dave, and Dave was going through a lot of health issues. And then here we are, you and I came together, and for a while there, I maintained that format of just having guests on. And, sometimes it was really good, like Elizabeth, that was very, very interesting, and both of us gleaned information from that. But it wasn't until, I think it was this past summer, was it this summer? Last summer? About a year ago? That I ended up doing a session with someone and connected in with Andronicus. I saw him, I didn't know what to do, he kept on giving me information, I started writing it down, and then I thought, well, let me just, take a shot at this, because the interviews with people, it just wasn't feeling right anymore, and that's typically a wonderful combination. I mean, like I was on Max Steele's show last night, and that's exactly what the format is, having guests on and letting them talk. And all the guests are very nice, and it's pleasant to have these conversations and letting them have a forum where they can talk about the things that they're doing. But when the Andronicus information came through, I was very, very perplexed, and what I was thrilled is that you shared that interest as well to kind of understand who these characters are, started with Andronicus and just kind of dissect it. And I don't know, I mean, what was your actual take on it when we started to do that, JP?
Well, thinking back to it, the first thing was the realization that he was in a position of changing his reality through and defeating the reptilians. Mm-hmm. And at that time, there was a very heavy reptilian presence. And I really feel that it's really helped us to understand them and call them the Vinkala and give them a name and a character and that these guys are like this and those guys are like that. And, understanding the exobiology, the exopolitics, this is from the perspective of real people, real beings moving around the galaxy and meeting other beings, and boy being meets girl being and all that sort of stuff. There was quite a bit of that. Mm-hmm. But it's like actually girl being meets goddess, and it gets awfully archetypal, and somehow it's like Star Wars meets Hitchhiker's Guide meets the Jason
Babylon 5
meets Babylon 5 meets Jason and the Argonauts. It's like the bar in Star Wars. It's like all these different beings. I'd love to see it characterized, even as a cartoon book.
Yeah, I've been running it by someone who's a graphic artist. And really what I need to do is just kind of define and describe what the each person looks like, and I'm sure that they could draw it. But I want to make sure that the essence is there of who they are. And what I thought was interesting is it started off with Andronicus, and then it emerged into all of these other personalities that we've come to develop and understand to the point where other people can identify with them and sort of like they know them, just as I know them. It's pretty interesting.
Paul Newkers, I can imagine JP having a ponytail and big sideburns in the other universe. Or is it this one? I've actually got, today I'm really, my beard is growing like my garden outside is growing. It's spring, yeah. Oh, yeah. And my beard is doing the same thing. Everything's kind of growing. There's this kind of impetus of growth, where if, any other time of year I grow bean sprouts and they're little skinny things, but this time of year when I grow bean sprouts, everything grows.
Oh, wow.
And so my beard, my beard is doing this, my eyebrows are doing this, all the hairs, and, I haven't really got a pony. I would wear a ponytail if I wore a suit, probably, just to keep it tidy, wrap a band around it. But yeah, it's long and scraggly, and I look like some old down. If you saw me on the street, sitting in a grey blanket, you wouldn't think twice.
Oh, come on.
All right. But did you ever see The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
And there's this beggar, and Eddie Murphy's cussing him out, you old bastard, and he turns out to be his, future father-in-law. and it's the Grand Master of the Abbey, you know,
Yep.
going out. And
You never know.
you
right?
never know.
Yeah.
And that's what these guys are doing, isn't it? They're going out just pretending to be people and seeing how people are.
Yeah, and then putting on the black sunglasses and walking away like they don't know you.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Men in Black or something, you know?
Well, kind of a bit like what Agent Smith does. You know, somebody occupies his body, you know, because mostly they're vacuous people. And they'll just...
You mean like in The Matrix?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Agent Smith, you know.
Mr. Anderson. It was funny, I used to be an Anderson. I was married once.
Uh-huh.
And that was my last name. I was Mrs. Anderson.
Mrs. Anderson. Actually, his name is Thomas. If you in the Matrix, the name of the guy is Thomas I. Anderson. I actually know another guy called Thomas I. Anderson. We call him Andy, but his real name is Thomas I. Anderson. So even he is like he's an Andy, another Andy, and he's a funny character. But he's well into Scottish history and his deerhounds, and he's a really tall, lanky, gangly kind of guy. It's like, whenever I imagine him, it's like there's a walking stick that's kind of flying everywhere because he's like trying to do it on ice. And what character? So he's not exactly Neo, no, but he is Mr. Anderson. Bless your heart, Andy Anderson. We all love him.
Well, it looks like we're at the end of the show, and thank you for joining us today. We had a lot of fun as usual. Of course, it's, more information coming through, and, this is really all for you. So please send in information, share with us your thoughts, any synchronicities, any songs, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Be a part of it.
Yeah. Be inspired and see what happens. Allow yourself to be inspired.
Yes. Thank you. We'll see you next week. Thanks, JP.
You're very welcome, Jessica. It's been a great journey as ever. Good night, Rob.
Good night. Or good afternoon.
Or good morning. I was like, good being awake and good sleeping. Anyway. Here it comes. Night, everyone. All right. Get in. Close the hatch.
We came from the future by way of the past. I bought my ticket for the 15th century. We started moving through a hole in history.